Okay, so in this lecture, we are going to talk about the society and economy of the Restoration Age. But before that, we are going to give a glimpse of the first lecture of the New Classical. And you know that we discussed in the previous lecture the restoration of the monarchy. We talked about Charles I, that he was beheaded in 1649 because he was a lavish king and he was spending a hedonistic lifestyle. So his son Charles II restored the throne in 1660. Then James II, his brother, became the king in 1685, and after that, his daughter, the wife of William III, they both attacked England in 1688, which is known as Glorious Revolution or Bloodless Revolution, in which James II absconded and Mary II and William III, the daughter and son-in-law of James II, became the giant monarch of the England. After that, we discussed that till 1702, William III remained the king of England. So this was a bit about the previous lecture. Despite this, we talked about some of the works of Dryden. We discussed that Dryden has written some remarkable poems about every event of the Restoration Age. Austria Redux is one among them, published in 1660. In this poem, he welcomes the new regime of Charles II. Another important poem, Annus Mirabilis, published in 1667, and Annus Mirabilis means Year of Miracles, and it is about the Great Fire of London and Plague. Another famous work is Absalom and Achitophel, published in 1681, and it's an allegorical work, and it's about the exclusion crisis, and we've talked about exclusion crisis in the previous lecture. You can watch that. And the next one is Essay of Dramatic Poesy, published in 1668. It is about the Anglo-Dutch Wars. We've already discussed it in the previous lecture. So these are some of the important works of John Dryden, and that was the reason that why this age is known as Age of Dryden. Okay, despite this, we had discussed about the two parties. Let us give a bit of the glimpse. We have already talked about two political parties that are Whigs and Tories. Whigs are liberal and Tories conservative. Liberal are those who want to break the status quo and they want to break the rules and regulation in the previous usual pattern of the society. And Tories, on the other hand, are conservative, so they want to maintain the status quo. However, these both political parties, they were opposing absolute monarchy. So they were supporting constitutional monarchy. They wanted to develop a House of Commons because there were only one House of Lords, and they want to give rise to the constitutional monarchy in which there must be a prime minister along with the king, and the prime minister would be the representative of the common people. And in the in upcoming lectures, you will come to know that their struggles and in the upcoming lecture, you will come to know that their struggle proved and gave birth to the House of Commons, in which Robert Walpole became the first Prime Minister in the history of English. Okay, so now we are moving ahead to today's lecture, that is about the society and economy of the Restoration Age. Okay, now let us talk about society and economy of the Restoration Age. That is our today's concern. So first we are going to talk about society. There was religious turmoil in the English society. Henry Hudson, one of the famous historians, in his book has written a statement that England at that time had touched low water mark in its social history. So from the statement, you can come to the conclusion that England is also on the brink of collapse, almost, you can say. So infidelity, was on the rise, disbelief in a particular religion, and also profligacy, which means a reckless extravagance. So it became fashionable that people, despite of inflation and corruption and low economy, they were trying to spend more on costumes and more on fashion. So in the literature of the Restoration Age, you can see characters are mostly involved in fashions, and there are clubs and coffee houses, and that is why I'm stressing the society, economy, and the politics of the time, because only then you will come to know about the literature of the time. And despite of this, corruption spread far and wide. You can see that the general lowering of the moral tone was everywhere apparent. So there was a spirit of corruption, infidelity, profligacy, and even those who were practicing and holding virtue or practicing the religion, they were looked at as hypocrites. So even those people who were trying to practice their own religion were looked at as hypocrites. So the society was passing through a weird condition, you can say. So the Society of England, as Hudson has also remarked, it was passing through this weird condition. And in the literature of the Restoration, you will come to know about the infidelity, profligacy, corruption, and the lowering of the moral tone of the society. So that was the society of the England at that time, that there were religious turmoils, infidelity, profligacy, and lowering moral standard or moral tone. If we talk about the economy of the time, so society was 85% rural, and because of that there were less factories. So less factories indicate that there were less production. And on the other hand, you can see that population was increasing. So increase in population indicate that increase in demand. So there were less supply because of low factories and more demand. So less supply and more demand gave birth to higher inflation. So the English society was passing through higher inflation, and inflation was surging with the passage of time. However, you can see that agriculture was also flourishing because 85% of the land was rural. So England in 1700, though it became the exporter of grain. However, you can see that the inflation was on the rise, so the society divided into two sections, the rich and poor, and they created the concept of the status. So a hierarchy developed, and this hierarchy developed not just due to rich and poor. However, inside the families, you can see that male become dominated, because male was someone. The hierarchy developed not just due to rich and poor, but even inside the families you can see that male was dominated, and the male domination was the rule. So they were ruling their wives, and even master their servants, parents their children. So it was the Restoration Society that male became dominated, and it is because of the economy they were earning. So the entire English society, that they were touching the low water mark. It was passing through infidelity, profligacy, and along with this it was passing through higher inflation and increase in population, and there were so many issues in the English society. Now, if there are such issues in the society, if the economy is in such a precarious situation, if the society is on the verge of collapse, you can see that based on this issue, the writers of the time, of the age, they would be more inclined to this disrupted society rather than imagination, rather than utopian society. So the entire literature of this time is all about realism. And that is why realism emerged in the Restoration Society. So if someone asks you that why is realism emerged, it is because of the society, economy, and politics. So in the next lecture, we are going to talk about the realism and then how this realism gave birth to satire, which is one of the main concepts of the Restoration period. So you must go through the next lecture in order to come to know about the realism and satire that are the prominent concepts in literature.